All right, let's down the business. Here we go. That first one, x squared minus 4x minus 2. That's also known as a what? What's that graph? What do we call that graph at the end? We're done graphing. What do we call that graph? That's a parabola. Y equals x negative x minus 2. That's going to be called a line. Where's my solution? Where the two intersect each other. All right, where the two intersect. So let's start with the parabola first. And by the way, just a little, is this one going to open up or down? Just get a visual. Up, because the a value is positive. So I'm just getting a visual here. It's going to go like that. This is a positive or negative slope. Okay, so it's going to go downhill. So that's what I should end up looking like. And I'm going to figure out where they intersect. All right, so let's get a table down to do the parabola. Anybody want to remind myself and your classmates? Where do I find that middle number in the table without trying to have to search through the calculator? What can I find real quick? Axis of symmetry, x equals what again? Negative b over 2a. Need an invite today? Well, usually we start class off with, hey, I need something to write with. Let's not fall in this mode here. Come on, you know better. Let's get going. Negative b over 2a, b value. Negative 4, so when you plug it in, 4, 2 times a value, 1. So the axis of symmetry should be x equals 2. There's your middle value. How many do I require to be above and below it? 3 more. So I'm looking at 1, 0, and negative 1. And 3, 4, and 5. And I'll give you guys about a minute right now to find those y values in your calculator. I'll call on somebody to see what they are. Okay, got all those y values here for me. All right, let's start this off with 28. Probably not going to get it. What's going on? All right, maybe not. Okay, let's go with 16. 16, what are your y values? 3. Yep. And then we start repeating, I hope. You. Nice job. Go ahead and graph them. 3, 4, 5, 6, and then we start repeating. Remember tomorrow, nice smooth curve. With arrows. There's your parabola. We ready to go on to the line now? Okay, the line, I'm not going to plug into my calculator. You can tomorrow if you want. Where on the y-axis should I start? What's my y-intercept? -2. So on the y-axis, I'm going to go to -2. And hey, look what happened. Looks like I already know what one of the solutions is. All right, let's keep going. Slope of this line. Here we go. Slope. Caitlin, need a number. 1. Need a slope here. Jack? -1, right? So where do you want me to go from this point here? Down 1, right 1. I like it. Or you could go up 1, left 1. Keep graphing as many points as you can, because maybe you'll hit one that's on the parabola already, and it makes your life a heck of a lot easier. And then you grab your straight edge. Still missing. Before I even get into the answers, what should I be at least doing, Maddie? At least one of them I got to label. All right, you can label both, but at least one of them's got to be labeled. So it looks like you have two answers working right here. One point of intersection, second point of intersection. And what are those points? Jack, need a number? 1 through 27. 1 through 27, like calling on your classmates. I did. You were the last one to answer, so you get to pick a new number. That's how this thing has been working. 14 answers here. Okay, 0, -2 is 1, and 3, -5. I can't stress this enough. Your answers should be in the table. Okay? If they're not, that means you got to graph a couple more points in the parabola if you don't know where that point of intersection is. Okay, everybody go to your graphing calculators. Let's review. I only went over this once. I want to go over it again. So if you guys that want to check tomorrow, I would highly recommend checking. Go to y1 and go to your y equals screen. Plug in both those equations for me right now into y1 and y2. Because I'm sure you'll have plenty of time. The quiz isn't that long tomorrow. You have plenty of time to check to make sure you did this right. And nothing's better than knowing you're going on to the next problem when you got the previous one 100% correct. Okay, put both in your y equals screen. Go ahead and graph them. Hopefully it looks like your graph. All right, anybody remember where I can find the points of intersection? Second, nope, not second window. Second trace. It says calc right above it. So everyone, let's go. Second trace. What do you think I want to use here? I want to find intersect. Yep. Okay, you got a blinking spider. Put it as close as possible to one of the points of intersection. And this is the great part. Once you get it on there, you just have to hit enter 3 times. It'll say first curve, enter. Second curve, enter. Guess, enter. And it'll tell you 1 point of intersection, 0, -2. One thing you got to remember, now that I go to the next point, when I find the next point, you got to go through the exact same process again. Do not just move your cursor over. So again, we got to go second trace one more time. All right, second trace, intersect, move that sucker over. Maybe today, maybe. As close as possible. Boom, all right. Enter first curve, enter second curve, enter a third time for guess. 3, -5. 100% sure I got it correct. Are you always going to have 2 solutions? Could you have 1 solution? Yes, again, if your line goes through the max or the min, and is it possible to have no solution? If they never intersect, yes. We all good? Questions? That's the last graphing one I'm going to do with you. Those take a while. All right, let's change it up now. What if I want you to go algebraically on me? Algebraically, look at number 4. So not graphing, algebraically. Who's the last one to go? 3. Okay, 3. Are they both y equals?
Yeah.
What can I do now, Emma? Little substitution there now that they're y equals. Yep, x minus 1 equals x squared minus 4x plus 3. Got it? All right, we may have forgotten what to do now. Who's next? 10. You're not ready to factor. Why not?
You gotta move the x minus 1 over c plus 1 minus x.
Get one side equal to 0 while trying to keep your a value positive. So yes, move the x and the 1 over. How do you do it again, Matt? Subtract the x over and add the 1. I'm going to ask for somebody what you ended up getting in a second. Yep, so move the x over, add the 1 over. Who's going to tell me here, Matt? Four, what do I end up getting when I move everything over? Okay. Now that it's equal to 0, we are ready to factor. Oh boy. Trinomial, no GCF. Let's go. Two numbers that do a little something, something. Who's going to factor it for me? Need a number. 23. Factors. 4 and 1. You got some signage for me? Both negative. Perfect. We get two answers. X minus 4 equals 0. X minus 1 equals 0. Callie, who's going to figure it out? Need a number. 16. Nice job. Why would I only give you probably half credit here tomorrow? Need y's. X's and y's, remember. So I'm going to take my first x of 4, go back to one of the originals, plug it in. Or store it in your calculator. It's up to you. Okay? So take 4, plug it back into one of the equations for x, let me know the y value, then do the same thing for x equals 1. Who's doing this, Caitlin? 25. If x is 4, what's your y value? 3. And if x is 1, what's your y value? 0. And remember, please make sure you write it as an ordered pair tomorrow, just like we did that last problem. So 4, 3, and 1, 0. Hey, kiddos, quick question. Even though we did this algebraically, could you still check this on your graphing calculator by doing intersection? Absolutely. Okay, just because you didn't do it graphically, you can still check it on your graphing calculator, without a doubt. I put 5 up here. I'm not going to do it, but before you set them equal to each other, probably what do you have to do with that second equation? Move the x over before you set them equal. Yep. Okay, so just a heads up on that one when you guys do that one on your own. All right, so any questions about here before we get to completing the square? Graphically or algebraically, we feel pretty comfortable? All right, I got 2 more questions to do with you. Number 7. See if anybody remembers how to do this. Find a value of c that makes it a perfect square trinomial. Meaning what's inside is the same when I factor it. Okay, I showed you guys before break, 2 days before break, there's a shortcut. There's a shortcut to finding that c value that makes it a perfect square. Anybody want to take the lead here? I don't want to call on anybody. Oh boy, Marco, sure. It is. What's the b value here? Well, it's a little bit more than that, but. Okay, so ready? What's the b value? 12, and you take half of it. You are correct, and you end up with, but that's not my c value. I have to square it, yes. So my c value is 36, yes. You take half your b and square it, okay? Half your b and square it. Meaning that c value should always be positive if you're squaring it, okay? C value should always be positive. All right. All good there before we complete the square? All right, here we go. Yep, we're ready. Let's do 14. Let's do 14. Have those calcs ready to roll. All right, first step, tomorrow, we're on the quiz. I'm asking you to complete the square. First thing, and it doesn't happen here, but here's the first thing you got to think about. If you want to complete the square, a value. Anybody remember it's got to be 1. If it's not, divide everything by the a value. Okay, I know that doesn't happen in number 14 because it's already 1. All right, so if it's not 1, divide everything by the a value. All right, so we got a value equal to 1. Anybody remember the next one? Because this is not ready to complete the square yet. 14 is not ready. We have to do one more movement. Go ahead, Caitlin. Well, this is equal to 0. Completing the square, I don't want it equal to 0. What's got to be moved to the other side before we complete the square? Josh? The c value has to be moved over. All right, to complete the square, the c value has to be moved over to the other side. A and b have to be on the same side, c on the other side. So x squared plus 4x equals 16. It's got to be there. Now you want to complete the square. Find the c value that's going to make this a perfect square trinomial. Find the c value. This is what we just did on the previous problem. Marco, need a number. 5. B value is 4. Take half of it. 2, square it. So it's going to be x squared plus 4x plus 4 equals 16. Hey, what just happened? We're unbalanced, right? What did you just add to the left that I got to add to the right? 4. Please remember that. Keep the equation balanced. So I have something equal to 20. I am going to ask you to factor this now. I don't know if we remember the shortcut or now, but I'll factor it. Anybody know 2 numbers that multiply to 4 but add to 4? 2 and 2? And then how do I want to rewrite that as a perfect square? So rewrite it as, okay, now let me stop here. I'll let everyone take a breath and able to catch up. You do not need to show me this. Anybody remember the trick how to just go from here to the perfect square? Take half your b value. Whatever half your b value is, that's the number that's going to go right into here every time. Half your b value is the number here. Emily, need a number. 7. How do I get rid of this squared? Square root of both sides. Boom, boom. That eliminates my squared, so I have x plus 2 on this side. Over here, I'm not going to do anything to the square root. I'm going to keep it square root of 20, but plus or minus, hey, because remember, 2 answers at the end. Highest exponent's 2, 2 answers at the end. Plus or minus radical 20, yep. Here's how you get your 2 answers. X plus 2 equals positive radical 20, and x plus 2 equals negative radical 20, yep. And then you move the 2 over, and I'll ask somebody in a second to round to the nearest 10th. Who was the last one here? Need a number. 19. What do you got for me? Nearest 10th. Yep. 2.5. One answer, yep. And Negative 6.5. Negative 6.5. Any questions about? That's what we're looking at. Graphing it algebraically, completing the square. Those are the only topics on there tomorrow. Marco.
So you would do, sorry, you find the square root of negative 20 and 21st, and then you add the 2 to it?
Oh, I wouldn't add 2 to it. No. How do I subtract 2? You could.
It doesn't matter if you subtract, it doesn't matter if you subtract 2 straight, and then you
Like you could, here, watch, ready? If I go on my calculator, if I take the positive value of the square root of 20, make sure I get out of there, and then subtract 2. And then I could do negative square root of 20, get out of there, subtract 2. I could do it that way too. Or actually, like you said, finding what that's equal to and then subtracting 2 from it. It's up to you. All right, anybody else? Okay, if you have your Chromebooks, let's get them out so you can get the answer key open so you can see that you're doing the problems right. As long as that no phones come out, you can work with anybody you would like. All right, but if phones do come out, we're just going to go right back to our original seats here. All right, let's get going because this is what the homework is to finish this up, these review questions. Let's get it done.